What's up guys, and welcome to today's video. The neighbor's dogs are going mad this morning. I don't know why, but anyways, it's Saturday morning and I'm up early for a mountain bike ride. Now, we're doing about 50 miles of trail today. It's a pretty big ride. I have a couple of long races coming up, so this is like a really good preparation for that. And so I'm kind of looking at it as a race a little bit. I spent some time yesterday getting my bike cleaned up. I re-greased the headset and I adjusted my cleat because I've had a lot of like creaking, and so that's just a couple of little things that I needed to do to hopefully resolve that, because I don't want to hear creaking for 50 miles, 5 to 6 hours today. That would be terrible. I'm not gonna mess around much this morning. I'm gonna jump in the car, head over to meet the guys so we can do this 50-mile ride. It's gonna be a really good day. It's gonna be brutal, but hopefully we get a lot of good adaptations from today's ride. I always do my big training rides on the weekends because that's when I have the most time. So the weekends are so important to me. But anyways, let's head out.
A 3 watt per kilogram ceiling for a person. I'm not sure I would say.
What is your tactic for survival for this long trail ride today?
Tactic for today is I'm gonna hide in the back. And then
Does that help you on the trail?
Absolutely, because if I'm on the back, they don't see when I fall off.
so we just keep going.
Yeah, they keep going. I stop.
Yeah.
I actually brought some headphones I'm gonna take with me. That way, if I get so far off the back, I can actually just put music in and just suffer that way. So.
Okay, well that's great.
I brought headphones just in case.
It's a really nice place to start a ride. I mean, we might actually get in the lake afterwards today. It's like a true possibility.
I've always wanted to go swimming after a ride. That would be like the best thing.
I say that a lot after rides, but then like when I'm done, I'm like, nah, I want to go home.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I figured since this is just a long endurance mountain bike ride today, that I would do a voiceover and actually talk about nutrition tips for such a ride. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to talk about this today is that it's actually been a pretty big discussion in our little group that rides together lately. We've all really been focusing on maximizing our nutrition and helping each other out. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit today since it was on my mind. And just before we get into that, this ride today is all single track, 50 miles. So basically 25 miles out, 25 miles back, a really long ride. And this course is pretty punchy. There's not a lot of really flat sections. It's a lot of up and down. And one thing about mountain biking is that when you don't have sustained climbs and you have all these short punchy climbs, you put a lot of effort into that because you're constantly doubling what your FTP is to get up some of these climbs. Like I'll see 440 watts going up some of these climbs, especially early on in the ride. May only see 300 watts later, but it's almost like you're burning a small match every time that you do that. And so even though the overall intensity of the ride is not high, you do that over and over and over, that does take a toll on your body. We actually had to do quite a bit of hike-a-bike on this ride, and I ended up getting bitten by chiggers. If you don't know what a chigger is, it's like these little red bugs that come out of nowhere in like the grass and stuff, and they like to bite you. They bite like your ankles, your waistline, places like that. I've heard other people have some really bad places they've been bit. I've never been bit there, luckily, but it starts to itch like 6 hours later. So right now my ankles and my legs are really itchy, and it was because of all this hike-a-bike we had to do. And a big portion of that is because part of the trail was closed and it's been reopened recently. We were probably like the first people to ride it in 3 or 4 years. So it needs some trail maintenance. All right, let's get back into nutrition. So with nutrition, the very first nutritional tip that I will ever give you is that you need to listen to different people, listen to different people's nutritional advice, and then try it and decide what works best for you. Nutrition is like bike saddles. They're very specific to certain people. So what works for me may not work for you. That's why you need to pretty much soak up as much knowledge and tips as you can, and then just try it and see what you like and what you don't like, and make your own nutritional plan from that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've learned over the years and how I use it, and then you can kind of get an idea if you want to try some of it or not. So the first thing that I do when trying to decide on a nutrition plan for a ride is I need to know 3 things. I need to know the duration of the ride. How long are we going to be riding for? How hard is the ride going to be intensity wise? And then what is the purpose of the ride? For example, is this a hardcore training ride? Or maybe I'm just riding to burn some calories, to burn some fat type of deal. The ultimate goal of the ride is going to change how I fuel my body, but literally like 9 out of 10 times, I'm training for a reason. I'm training to improve my fitness, to get faster and better on the bike. And so I believe that you should fuel the ride in order to do that. Now, something that I have not talked about on this channel is that I've pretty much been in a calorie deficit on a regular basis for this entire summer. And the reason for that is I didn't have any main, like really big focuses for the summer. I've got a couple of races and rides coming up that I want to be in good shape for. But I've been fueling differently during my training and I've not been fueling up as hard or as much, I guess I should say. And I'm doing that to obviously lose some weight to help increase my power to weight ratio. And it's actually been working out really well. I can make a video about that if anyone's interested. But anyways, I always still believe in fueling the ride, because if you don't fuel the ride, then you're going to bonk and you're not going to get as much adaptation from that ride as you normally would. And also, no one wants to ride with you when you bonk, like you're just miserable and everyone else is there. If you're in a group ride, they're just kind of putting up with you. If you don't know what bonking is, the best way that I can describe it is that your brain needs glycogen to be able to function. And glycogen is like the carbs and the sugars. And when you don't have those and basically you're just depleted, you're empty and your brain starts to feel fuzzy and you just want to get off the bike. You're done. That fuzzy feeling in the brain is like the main indicator for me. If I feel that coming on, then generally it's already too late for me. I can try to come back, like I can drink like a Coke or something, and sometimes I can come back and start feeling, but usually that means I've already gone too far. So anyways, like I said, the majority of the rides are going to be for adaptation. And so I'm fueling these rides. I'm not cutting calories on the rides. So how much should you eat then? It's usually recommended to eat around 100 to 350 calories an hour. Now, I kind of think that seems like a pretty big range. And a lot of it just depends on really your history. Like if you've just started cycling and maybe you're new to fitness, then you might want to start on the low side and just do 100 calories an hour. And then if you've been riding a lot and you've been training and racing and you're a lot more familiar with fueling your body, then you could definitely go on the higher side. It's just that you need to just start somewhere. So if you're new, you might want to start at 100 and do your ride and see how your gut feels. That's the big check there. And then just keep adding calories in, and it's a big assessment. It's a self-assessment of how you feel on the bike, how your body feels, how your stomach feels. Now, what's really interesting is you can really look at a lot of science in fueling yourself. And they've talked about this on the Trainer Road podcast before, but most people say that you're able to eat about 90 grams of carbs an hour. And that's if you're eating a variety of carbs. So if you eat 150 grams of carbs, your body is probably not actually able to digest that and make use of it. And so that may be where you get GI distress or stomach upset, stuff like that. So keep that in mind. Now, what I mean by 90 grams of carbs if you eat a variety is that it's been found that there's a 2-to-1 ratio of glucose to fructose. So basically, your body can't process more than 30 grams of fructose, and it processes 60 grams of glucose an hour. They absorb differently in the body. So if you go and mess up that ratio, then again, you're not making use of all of that. If you look at a lot of the major brands like Goo and Scratch and Martins or Mortons, however you want to say it, pretty much all of them are already following the 2-to-1 ratio. So you're good. You're most likely good if you're using a lot of those. Now, if you really want to make sure that you're getting that 90 grams perfectly to the 2-to-1 ratio, then definitely dive into the details of all of what you normally eat. And the other thing is that those different carbs, they kind of process differently in your stomach. They don't compete for entry into the bloodstream. That's why that ratio is so important. The other thing that you want to do, now maybe you don't care about that kind of science. That's more if you're really I'm doing this, I'm going all in, 90 grams an hour, I want it perfect. Then you're really wanting to make sure you hit that. But if you're new, you may not be as concerned with that. my advice is you need to figure out what types of food you like to eat. So on a long ride, I need a variety for the most part, and especially if it's not very intense, I like to eat more bars and stuff like that. So I may eat like a PB&J bar and a Cliff bar, and then I may have a goo, and then I'll have some chews, I'll have a drink mix. I've got like a little bit of everything. I got a variety. But when I do cross-country racing, I'm pretty much all goos and drink mix because that is the easiest and quickest thing for me to do while I'm racing. The intensity is higher, so I can't, like when the intensity gets high for me, I can't eat a Cliff bar. Like I can't chew that. And so the goos, like a lot of people hate goos. And again, this is why you need to test all this stuff, is to figure out if you like it or not. But I don't have a problem with the goos. I eat a variety of flavors, and that helps me from getting palate fatigue. Now, if you look at a goo packet, I think it recommends to take one every 45 minutes. That's obviously going to be on the lower end of the calorie scale because a goo only has 100 calories, around 20 to 22 carbs. So if you're fueling with goos only, you probably want to be eating one like every 30 minutes and along with a bottle an hour. That's usually what I do for my 3-hour cross-country races. I'll do something pretty similar to that. Sometimes, I mean, I'm not exact, like I may be 5 minutes late or something like that, but that's what I really try to force. And like I said, a lot of that comes back to looking at the intensity of the ride, the conditions on the trail, and always bring extra food. Like bringing extra food is just a smart way to make sure that you don't bonk. That way, if you do start feeling bad, eat more food. I've heard people say, you know, just eat when you're hungry, but honestly, I find that that does not work because if you eat when you're hungry, then I feel like you're already behind and you're not going to get caught up. All right, guys, that's basically it for these quick nutrition tips. If you're training for some hardcore long endurance rides, definitely start trying to push the calorie limit up there. Try to get those 90 grams of carbs in an hour and see how you feel. See if you get an improvement. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see you on the next one. What are you doing there, Sean?
Cooling off.
Yeah? In the swamp water?
I don't care. It's cold.
All right.